Here we go. Now we're recording. That the very moment we most didn't like, that we most didn't want, that we thought was a waste of time, how the page maybe wasn't ever going to show up on the screen, how really that is the practice. And we all like the other idea. And I've spent probably 20 of my years in practice trying to figure out how to get over there, how to get to where it's easier, where I'm not so pissed off, where I'm not so scared. And it just doesn't work like that. And in fact, this is maybe the fiercest path I know, probably. And it's going to require something we all have spent most of our lifetimes avoiding, which is breaking open instead of shutting down, right? Breaking open instead of shutting down. And nobody likes that idea. If somebody told me the only thing I had to do was walk on hot coals for a mile to get to complete nirvana, I'm not sure I'd go. Like, really? Maybe there's an easier way. And I'm certain I'd be committed to trying to find it. And aren't we all? We're all committed to that. And the truth is, there is a path to the end of suffering. It is easy, and it's the hardest thing I know. And it's absolutely the hardest thing I know, which is to open over and over and over and over and over again. Wow, I can't get over it. When I just rather board it up, when I just rather shut it down, when I just rather forget about it, when I just rather go golfing or doing something else, and certainly not having that conversation. But the good news, and we're going to be looking at this together in a moment. The good news is there is something in each of us, and it's real, that actually knows better. And that's why you're sitting here right now. Actually, because you could be at Starbucks, you could be at Lofty Coffee, you could be out in the yard, you could be planting stuff, you could be on an adventure, you could be, I can't even think of all the things you could be doing. You could be kayaking in the ocean. Wow, wow, wow. Couldn't you be doing great things? And there is no judgment or criticism about that. The truth is, it will, as beautiful as it is, if you are not present to it, it will not give you what you're looking for. As beautiful as it is, it will become a addicted moment, just like that caramel corn. Doesn't matter, right? It will just become another addiction that you'll look for. If only I can get this, if only I could secure this, if only I could, right? And we talked about that last week as well. And so we're going to practice first, and then we're going to begin by taking just a moment. So I don't know how far we'll get today. We may not get to chapter 2. It's just fine. I just wanted you to have some sense of the momentum and the direction of the book. We're going to look at some of the questions I invited, which is, can you feel the guardrails going up? Can you feel the contraction? Can you feel the shutdown, the forget about it, the I just want it to be easier, then what I asked you to pay attention to what happens with that. Once we make contact with all the boarding up we do, that we all do, then the second question for me is, where did it lead? What did it get you? How does it work out or not work out? And I already know the answer to that. And I think you probably do too. But we're going to look at that a little more. So let's prepare to practice. with some of that. I'm going to take this down now that I know I can get it. I feel a little anxious about it. I'm noticing a kind of queasy right in me right now as I stop the share. I don't know. That feels a little terrifying. Yep, everybody's got to leave whenever they do. You do what's right for you. This will be recorded as it is now, and I will make the recording available to everyone, along with then a summary that invites further inquiry. But let's practice first. I'm going to take a sip. I have a dry mouth from that anxious. Uh-oh, this is going to be harder. And so let's prepare for the sitting. Finding a supported, balanced posture, actually. A balanced posture. We use the word sometimes, I don't like it anymore. I'm not going to use it, which there was an old way that we used to talk about the back as strong back, and Roshi Joan does that. And I don't, strong kind of stiffens, like I got to act some other way. And I really, that's not what I mean. I mean, can you just take a moment flexing into the back, for example, getting the feet anchored in some way, or the legs in some way that feels stable, supported, that allows the skin and the flesh of the body to soften, just resting then on the bone. It's resting on the bone. One of the first things that Pema says in this book, The Places That Scare You, is, I begin all my teaching, she says, from this place, this heart of bodhicitta, the awakened heart mind that wishes for the ease, the happiness, the joy, and the relief for all beings. And so I'd like each of us to begin our practice like that. That whatever else comes, however the mind is, however the body is, however closed you feel or tight you feel or open you feel, can we offer it all? Just like this, to the end of suffering for all beings. And right there, you already have a perfect practice. You already have a perfect practice right there. May this contribute to the end of suffering for all beings, however it goes. And that's the heart of the Bodhisattva. Whatever else comes or doesn't, whatever your practice looks like or doesn't, I don't care. And I don't want you to care. You've already opened the heart completely by saying, may any good of this, may any benefit of this be offered. To all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none. And that means we've got to open the heart wide. It's got to get bigger than you thought. Until all beings are happy and free. So I'd like you to begin by taking a deep and big in breath, breathing in. Hold it at the top, soften the body. And then we're going to let a big out breath happen. Breathe it all out. Rest at the bottom. Let's take another big in breath, breathing in. Hold it, release the body. And then a big out. Settling into your Dharma seat. Let the hands be relaxed, settled into the lap, the leg. Let the shoulders be drawn downward. With each out breath, releasing a little bit more. We tuck that chin and point the crown of the head up towards the heavens in that universal bow, that act of humility, of humbleness. May I give everything, all the things that are good, to this path. We soften the belly. And then we just rest the attention here in this body as a whole, sitting, whatever contacts you're making. And as the body is stilling itself, we're going to use each out breath because it invites a little ease to soften up. Seeing if we can make contact with that physical felt sense of the breath as it's moving in and out of the body. And because we're inviting space and room into the breathscape, we draw the shoulders back just a little, but that's just to create a little heart space there so that the heart, the diaphragm, and the belly aren't collapsed into each other. Just draw the shoulders back and let them be heavy. And let that heart light, the radiance of the awakened heart mind shine. And then we're just going to breathe into it and out from it for a few moments as we steady the mind. Remember, you just gave every beautiful breath away. And you can give it also, by the way, to yourself. And so find the deliciousness in the breath. Find the ease, the joy, the goodness. We touch into the heart of Bodhicitta with the in breath. It ignites our aspirations, our intentions, our motivation. I hope you can feel that. And then we just distribute it. We let it spread throughout the whole body. That positive, good, joyful, easeful energy. Let it just transmute the whole body. You can take a long breath. You can let it just be a natural breath, doesn't matter. The body decide. But with each out breath, I want you to make a commitment, and that is to let the whole breath be breathed out. We're not going to cling to anything. We let the belly get a little softer. We're not inviting any thinking here. There's nothing to analyze. We're not invoking or inviting questions right now. We're just in joy, in ease, embodied presence right here in the breath. With each in breath, create a little more space and room in that awakened heart. We tend to board it up all day. Know that this heart is always available. It is never not you. It is never not here. You cannot be separated from it. Whether you can feel it or not, or you think it's there or it isn't the point. And every day this week, I want you to touch in, breathe in to this Bodhicitta, the ignited, awakened heart mind, every day this week. And then for several minutes, I want you to breathe it. And we touch into the heart, and then we let it, once again, remember on the out breath now, we enliven every other cell, every other muscle, every other thought, word with that heart. And I like to begin right here in the body. The Bodhicitta heart right in my big toe. in each hair on my head, in each word that's spoken, each thought. Where is this radiant heart? Always present. The goodness that has always been will always be, cannot be otherwise in you. That soft, tender spot. Maybe it's that achy, breaky heart. Instead of turning away, we're going to sit right in it. And then I'd like you to take a moment and just to recognize, maybe just in the last day or so, a moment of contraction, a moment of shutdown, a moment of boarding it up, of saying, forget about it, trying to take your marbles and go home, except this is it. And I'd like you to recollect that because we're going to stay in that radiant heart and we're going to make contact with the truth of that contraction, the truth of that difficulty, right through the lens of bodhicitta, right through looking through the heart that can only include, only open, only embrace, only welcome, only allow, has no other capacity. It's its nature. Only get bigger. So recollecting that moment, seeing if you can't keep the body soft, it can take on that contractedness. But we're going to see if we can look right through the lens, right through the eyes of bodhicitta. What were you really wanting? And watch the head. Don't let that take over. Stay in the body. And I just got a little kind of ugh in the top of the belly because what I really want is love. I really want peace. I really want understanding. I want to be understanding. I want to be softened. That's not what happened. But that's actually my whole true heart's aspiration. That's what I really want. And I want it for everyone. I want it for me. I want it for the person I was speaking with. I want us to remember, to see, to hold that soft, that tender, that vulnerable human heart. Stay softened in the body. Release again and again with each out breath. Letting the heart of Bodhicitta open. There is space and room. It's infinite and boundless for it all right there. For yourself, for the other, if there is one. For the difficulty, the pain, the challenge, the confusion. Doesn't matter what it is. And you get to feel right into that tight or tender spot. By the way, there's nothing to do. You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to transform it. We're simply going to hold it breath by breath. See if you can soften a little bit around it. It might be achy or pinchy or queasy. It might be tight. It might be hot. It might hurt. It's okay. And then with each breath, we're going to move into it a little bit more. And mine's just moved up a little bit above the heart. I think I protect myself this way. It's like, nah, I'm not going to go for the heart. I'll stick this up here. And see if we can create room and space to welcome and greet whatever this is, this fear, this resistance. Find it in the body. We tend to think about it a lot, and that's just another way to get rid of it. We're not going to get rid of this, actually. We're going to use it. We've made contact. We've created space. We're going to get curious, caring, and interested. We're going to be exceptionally friendly with whatever's here. Unconditionally loving with whatever's here. And through the awakened mind, we're paying a gentle, kind attention, just seeing what's happening. How does that do the sensations morph or change or stay or whatever's happening? There's continual change here. I just have an achiness around the whole top part of the heart. It's moved back down. And then we're going to take our hands, both palms of the hands, and we're going to place them in that area of the body if you can reach it. Mine happens to be conveniently right here. And see if you can't just offer a gentle gesture. Might be a little gentle pat. It might, this rubbing feels a little better to me today. And I'm pressing in a little bit more. Remember, again, this is not for getting rid of anything. This is for making contact. This is for this bravery, this fearlessness. We're going to go in. We're just going to stay here. This is the heart of Bodhicitta. It is not the heart that is not pain. It is the one that is broken open. And we're going to hold it gently, tenderly, like your most precious child, because it is. Soften the belly. And then we're going to move closer and invite that question we often ask in the inquiry, in the exploration. What is this? What are you trying to tell me? And watch for the habit of words. See if you can't drop beneath the words. Get back into the body. Let it be. With each in-breath, we're infusing this tender, tight, soft bodhicitta heart, known just like this. And what you'll quickly recognize is that the conditions, the circumstance, it's not even the point. The reality of this human tenderness, this fear, this pain, this sadness, this vulnerability, this is the point. And opening to this is the path, always. Breathing in, creating space and room and softening. We're going to be practicing this softening and opening again and again. And then we're going to widen the lens for a moment beyond the heart space, beyond the breathscape. We're going to let that information be transmuted throughout the whole body. Let it inform the mind, the heart, the body. Let it be known, tender like this, vulnerable like this, human like this, scared like this, pain like this. And we're going to let the breath just continue to infuse and move this. We're not going to keep it stuck or tight. It is the resistance that actually has caused that. We're just going to let it be in the body. Let the whole body mind hold it. Let this beautiful open heart hold it. And let the breath offer some fresh air. The heart of Bodhicitta moves beyond the body. It is not limited by any form. It's not trapped in the heart. It's not trapped in the body. It's not trapped in the mind. This boundless, infinite, and vast capacity of each of us to hold this is much larger than anything you can imagine. You are being held right now by the heart of Bodhicitta that covers the whole of the world, the whole of the universe and beyond. And then for a few moments, let's just breathe into that open space. That's the unconditional heart of Bodhicitta. Vast, open, empty. Filled with loving kindness. Breathe it in, filled with compassion at the truth of suffering. Filled with bravery, with fearlessness, with presence. And let it touch the whole of the body, in, out, and around. May we all be filled with loving kindness. And may we be well. May we all be peaceful and at ease. And may we all find the path to true happiness and freedom. Softening the body. And may this practice today contribute. So be it. That's going to be our practice every day. It's always been our practice every day. It's not new. It's the same practice every day. And so if you get confused about, I don't get why I'm just sitting here doing this. That's why. That's why. You're making real contact with the truth of this human experience and the heart of Bodhicitta that holds it all. And I don't know a way, and you keep hearing me say this, don't you? I don't know another way to do it. And if you do, let's talk about it. We'll brand it. But I think this, after 2,600 years, we might know this is actually the way. Sitting with it made it more intense. Well, yeah, anytime you place attention on something, you're going to notice it, right? Anytime you place attention on anything, you're going to notice it. That's how it works. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that the good news? Because where do you think it's going? What was that idea? If I just didn't look, then what? It would go away? I've never noticed. I've never noticed. In fact, by the way, I'm pretty good at being numb. I got that down a little bit. I know how to go, nope, not that. Nope, this over there, not that. And by the way, it didn't change a thing. In fact, if anything, it guaranteed it made it worse. It's guaranteed, says the teachings. It's going to get worse. It's like taking a fungus and putting it in a dark room. What are you going to get? Really moldy bathroom. That's all you get. So we understand, though, don't we all? We all do it, so we all get it. We're all trying to get away from it. We're all trying to get it somewhere else. Yep. We're just not going to keep doing it because it doesn't work. Hold on. So I asked you this last week to begin to pay attention. And to begin to pay attention where do you feel that get activated? That tenderness, that ache, that contraction, that tightness. Where does that happen? And so let's take a minute before we go on to the chapter. Let me see if I can't find that while we're, see if I can locate well, there's the Kindle. So I've got that. It's really good. Okay, that didn't disappear. That's big news. Let me see if I can find this for us. I was asking some questions, and I'm going to see if I can find them. Does anybody have that I sent? I've got to get on my other computer to get it. But really it said, what do you notice in the body?
I have it if you want me to read it.
Oh, Cindy, thank you. Would you?
So is that, so you had a bunch of questions, but the one that you asked, you wanted an answer for, it says, is that the one that you wanted the answer for? It says, fear is required on the path to fearlessness. We do not get rid of fear on the path, but use it to recognize how we are experiencing and resisting the truth of this human life in our search for security, certainty, and permanence. What do you know to be true about this statement, and what does it invoke in you?
Thank you. Why don't you start, Cindy? You just read it. See how I hooked her like that? She's going, oh, damn. What's I doing? Do you have a thought about that?
I do. I think it's just like the practice that we always do. If there's no way to get past something unless you really feel it, because then you're just covering it up with whatever else it is, and it's still under there in your gut, festering, even though you're trying to do the other thing. So
that's exactly right. And do you know the consequence of that for you?
It gets worse. It doesn't get better. It doesn't help. I mean, it may help in the moment, the binge watching the TV or the eating the piece of chocolate, but it's the minute that's over, it's back again.
Yeah. And did anybody notice sometimes it's worse? Anybody catch that? Like all that pushing away, all that if only I could look the other direction, all that Big Bang Theory, all that caramel corn, all that martini, sex, I don't care what you're doing, work, collecting, organizing, I don't know what you're doing. We're all doing the same thing, by the way, whatever it is you're doing. Right? It actually doesn't not only make it better, my evidence is it makes it worse, because then I can't tolerate it at all. I've stayed so insulated, so protected, so guarded, so closed that finally when it hits me, it's like, how is this happening to me? I can't do this. I can't bear it. We become brittle, don't we? We become brittle because now we're just a caricatured, image loaded version of what? A dead walking, Joko used to say. Dead walking. And you can feel that, can't you? Yes, you can. You can feel that in others and in yourself. Dead walking. That's all you're left with because you've just numbed it all up. You've just shut it all down. And then how do we have a compassionate, kind, caring life when we've just deadened it all? Well, you can't. You can't, can you? And then everybody asks me, how did the world get like this? Well, we know. We know how, just like that. We all disconnected. We all deadened. We all numbed it out. We all tried, right? We all have nice houses. We all have great yards. We all have nice cars. Don't we? Yes, we do. We live in a really nice place. And what does it get? Does it get you the end of suffering? No, no chance. Not even a little. And then you really feel failed, don't you? Like, really? I should be thrilled because here I am. I get an ocean view, right? My father used to say that to my husband, which is, how do you not come home every day and cry out of joy for just that view alone? Right? Because what? We can fall into that belief thought that if only we had the right stuff, that would do it. Well, it's not true. I don't care where you live. Right? So thank you, Cindy. That's exactly the whole truth of it. Right, there's the whole truth of it. I'm going to read a little bit from chat for a minute, and then we'll keep talking about this. I used to think expressing anger was aliveness and being present to what I'm feeling, but in fact, it's armoring. Yes, it is. And I have to say I've made that mistake myself. It isn't, though, so to be careful, it isn't that anger by itself is inherently right or wrong. We don't want to get caught there. That can be a mistake. But the anger is just an energy for what? Action. For action. And it's an energy that we can use. What we bring with that energy, however, is what? Resistance, rejection, refusal, opinion, judgment, and then a certain aggression, a hostility along, which is, no, this just shouldn't be here, or certainly shouldn't be like this. And you certainly shouldn't be like this. I just did that yesterday. No, you just shouldn't be doing this. This is right. And it's the truth is, well, of course you are. You're scared, and I'm scared too. And can we just be scared? No, is the answer mostly. No. I don't want to do that. So I have an opinion. I'm going to hang out to that. And now I've got a feeling about it. I'm going to hang on to that. Right. And we're going to do damage to ourselves and each other. This is the disease of our time, isn't it? Kelly says, I'm embarrassed to admit this. Well, don't be, because we're all sitting in that same soup. There is someone I must interact with on a regular basis that makes my gut roll. Beautiful. I need to turn this situation around because it is not healthy. Well, I'm not sure we're going to get rid of the gut roll. I think making contact with that is actually going to be the path, Kelly. So I don't think we're getting rid of anything. That you recognizing it is beautiful. And that's a fabulous beginning. And then can you stay close wholeheartedly with that tenderness in you that is fearful or pained or scared? And we'll keep talking about that. And yes, that will change the situation. That's the transformation that we're all going to be experiencing. not running the other way. Good for you. You're naming it beautifully. Tanya, not fully present for self or others. Yep, that's one of the consequences of that. Set me down completely. Yes, it's destined to do so. It's destined to make us sick. It's destined. It's going to make us ill. Absolutely. We're going to be diseased, disordered. Yes, that's the way it goes, always. And I don't care however you look, right? It's not true. And then we have people who actually then get sick. And by the way, I don't think that means that everybody causes this body by its nature can also be sick. We don't want to contribute to that, right? The body by its nature is limited. That doesn't mean that people who get sick are the perpetrators, but we too often contribute by that stuffing, by that avoiding, by that pushing, by that eating, by that drinking, by that numbing. We are not helping ourselves, and we're going to work on that. What else do you know about this? What about that phrase? On the path to fearlessness, we are going to have to make great friends, intimate partners with fear. What does that mean for you? When I say it, what comes up?
Fear of death.
Fear of death.
I think so much of it's related to that. If we don't immediately go there, but it's all lurking there.
Yeah. Isn't it? The fear of not me, Greg, isn't it? I'll lose me somehow. The me I want to hang on to, I can't. And so that's often how we perceive death, as a complete loss of self. And, right? I can't hold the things. I can't keep my handles, whatever those happen to be. And death always comes up as one of those dynamics. It's, I think it's even death being the loss of self, the loss of love, the loss. It's 8:00. Right, as representing that as well. The realization of you are not in control of anything. Yeah, right. There it is. That breeds a lot of fear in me. Like, I have no authority over the circumstances of this life, only how I choose to open to it. Right? How I choose to open to it. That's right. Any other thoughts about this before? Anybody notice particular sensations? We're going to be paying a lot of close attention to the body. Anybody notice a particular spot for you where this sense of vulnerability, this sense of achiness? Well, we're going to stay in pretty big contact with that area. And so I just did a little practice today to see if we can't check in, particularly in that spot, and see if we can't keep inviting both contact, remember, moving into it rather than deadening, covering, resisting, or distracting, and creating some space, room, and ultimately what? Compassion and kindness for that. Shiva Muran, I'm wondering if you had some thoughts about this.
No, I mean, what it brings up for me is this, what we're attempting to do, and I feel into it. It really makes me want to take my marbles and go home. And then when I realize that there is no other home, when I say that to myself, I want to take my marbles and go home. And yet I know that the home is here inside me, so there's nowhere to go. So you feel like you're being squeezed almost. And not in a bad way. Like
Yeah, but it's true.
you're being
Uh,
exposed, squeezed, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Like, oh no.
yeah. Like, oh no,
Oh no. Like this. Not
there's
this.
nowhere to go.
Anything but this. It was always the place. It was
Yeah.
nowhere else. It is. And by the way, we are more than just the body, but we've got this body as the apparatus in which to know the truth of this human life. And by the way, and beyond. And beyond. We're going to use the body because here it is. That's called conditional or relative bodhicitta. We're going to use the heart that's here. We're going to use the body that's here. And making contact with, could you feel that at all at the end? That actually, I'm not just trapped here. There is that presence, that consciousness, that infinite heart holding everything. But boy, we've got to get in here with it.
Yeah. It wasn't until we did the exercise when you had us go to that place, and for me, it was my heart, that then there was an opening and I didn't feel squeezed anymore. So it's what you just explained
That's
happened.
right. That presence holds everything. That's the heart of bodhicitta. It is not just this aching heart. Now, it is the portal, though. And Pema's going to keep saying this to you. This is the portal to the heart of bodhicitta. We have to go in to the ache, to the pain, to the fear, to the taking the marbles, to getting out of here. That is the door. In many traditions, it's called the gateway of suffering. The gateway of our humanness is the path. There's no way around it. But it is not to get in there to go, and then there's only death, which is what, right? I'm going to get in there, and then there's going to be nothing but fear, hatred, aggression, and then you die. That's terrifying. In fact, it's not true at all. It is not true. And I know that. My practice is big enough that I have felt into the, no, it's not even a problem. It's not a problem. But we get trapped here in this identity called, this is just me. This is all there is. And there's only me, the fearing one, me, the lost one, right? Me, the scared one. It's not true. It's not true. But we have to touch into that one on the way. Nobody wants to do that. Not me either. But you get what I'm saying? You get this idea, everyone? You have to. This is the path. You can't go around. I don't know how many times Joko said that to me. I don't know. And she'd go, man, you're stubborn. You are very persistent in your refusal. And I'm like, nah, pretty smart. Pretty smart. I'm pretty strong. I think I can kind of get around this thing. And she'd go, give it a try. Give it a try. You have to see that there's no other way. I did see that there was no other way. And you're going to have to see that there's no other way also, because as long as you think there's another way, you're going to use it, right? As long as you think you can get to the side of the pool, you're not going into the deep end. You're just going to hang on. And that's okay too. That's a part of the path. Essentially, whatever it is we're doing, including all of our busyness, by the way. We are so busy. Let me see here. Satya, hello, says third chakra under solar plexus. Boy, didn't you feel that? Me too. Fearful, anxious. Yep. Human. We're going to let it be. Create space for that. We're not going to try to get rid of it because we can't. It's not the way. We can transform it by presence, however. And we're going to do that. Courtney, good morning, says the reminder to listen to the heart and body was very helpful. Yes, I noticed the mind thinking, right? Don't we all try to find ways out with that? Made it much worse for sure. Where in the body and heart, it felt comforting. Yes, because there's open space there. That's the bodhicitta. That's the heart of bodhicitta, the one that's boundless, infinite, and vast. It's not just that tremoring queasy. It's not true. But we have to go in there. You got to go in the cave to get to the other side. All my imperfections and kindness, might be more here, noticing that. Yep. Shivam, be well. I know you have to go. You will get this recording. All right. I think we've got this idea then that there is no other, there's no out. Right? Everybody, can I see nods? Is there any other way? If you have it, let's put it out there. What's the way? There is none. There is none. And if I knew one, I promise I'd tell you. I don't know it. And I don't know it for me. So I can't offer it to you. And then I want to look at some of the language of Pema on this. She does this better than anybody I know. And there's no joke to that. So I'd like you to get your books out if you have them. And we're going to go through at least chapter 1 and maybe a few pages of chapter 2. I'm hoping everyone can see this. I'm going to assume you can. You can run all you want, but you cannot hide. Boy, is that the truth. Here's the prologue, and I began the practice here as well. When I teach, she says, but we're all teachers, by the way. We're all students, by the way. We're all Sangha, by the way. We're all divas, by the way. When I teach, I begin with a compassionate aspiration. That's always going to be true in all of our practice. That's the path of the Bodhisattva. But by the way, here's something that I think is not said enough. You do get to begin with you. May I cover myself in all of the blessings, in all of the goodness, in all that is generated from this practice. You may begin, it's right to begin with you. That compassionate aspiration essentially begins with you. And that means your own tenderness, your own care, your own kindness towards your own heart. And so we don't have to give it away, meaning send it everywhere else. That's an old Christian ethic myth that I can't keep any. I've got everything's got to be going in that other direction. It doesn't work. It's not true. You first get to, just like we did today, make contact and care with your own heart, with your own body, with your own confused or weary mind. And that we're going to keep an open mind. It, by its nature, is open and boundless. We're not going to just limit it to others or us. It actually becomes much bigger when we don't have ideas about that. And so we're going to honor that. I write here, I'm underlining this, thus the wish is made that we not keep the teachings to ourselves, but use them to benefit others. The reason I underline that is that's the common mistake. She doesn't say, and begin with you. That's a common way it's written. Wish that made that all the teaching, all the blessings, all benefits be used to benefit others. No, wrong. Everyone. Everyone. That means you, beginning with you. And out of your wholeness, watch what happens. So be careful there. It's one of our sacrificing myths. I have to give it all away. The 3 noble principles, you guys hear me say this a lot: good in the beginning, good in the middle, good at the end. Did you hear me say, if you've started with that aspiration, I don't even care what else you do. If you call that to heart mind at the beginning of every day and then go, meh, I'm going to lay here. I'm just going to breathe that while laying here. Good for you. Good for you. But you have to activate the heart of Bodhicitta. You can't just hope it happens. You have to wake it up every day. How are you going to do that? That's question number 1. Can somebody write that in chat for me? Question number 1, how are you going to awaken the heart of Bodhicitta? Always there, but requires intention, requires consciousness every day. How are you planning to wake it up? What are you going to be doing for that? Somebody write that in chat for me, because I'm going to have to draw these questions together at the end. Whether we believe we're succeeded or failed in our intention, we seal the act by thinking of others. Once again, she says others. I'm going to say all of us. We seal the act by regarding all of us in our humanness, in our vulnerability. And then she says, may it be of benefit at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And the truth is, if you begin with the goodness at the beginning, there can be no other path. You have made it conscious. You have said, let me light the day with this. And I want you to do it every day. You're going to be telling me next week how you are planning to do that. That's going to be an answer you're bringing here. How am I going to do this? So then the excellence of bodhicitta, that's what we've been resting in this whole time. She talks about how this woman said, don't you go closing your heart, little girl. I thought that was just delightful. And hopefully you could feel into the truth of bodhicitta. I touched on both. There are two elements to bodhicitta. Bodhicitta meaning what? Awakened, present, embodied. Can we think of other words? Alive, real. What's some other words? Who's got one? Here and now, present this moment. What? Anybody got a better idea for the kind of language? That's it. Bodhicitta means the awakened heart mind right now. Manifest like this, whatever that is. And so that awakened heart mind has two pieces, and I touched them both. One was the ache of my own human heart, that vulnerability, that tenderness, that softness, that ache. There it is. That's called relative bodhicitta. That means in this human form, that's one of the ways I touch it. And we can't get out of it. So we might as well use our pain to go into it, to make contact with it. That's often the way. Relative bodhicitta in this human life form. I touched the other one though. What was it? Oh no, vast, boundless, wide open, spacious, not limited to any form, bigger than the body, bigger than the Diana, bigger, right? Not limited in any way. That's called unconditional or ultimate bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta, bigger than any of this. And so when I'm in that mind, heart, guess what? I can hold everybody. I got Libby, I got little man, I got everybody. I'm not limited by just this at all. And I have to use this as well because I'm in this human body, in this incarnation, says Jack Kornfield. I can't get out of this incarnation. Here I am. That vastness is being channeled right through this human mind body of mine. I don't have to get rid of it. And I am not limited by it. So don't be careful that you don't get trapped in here going, there, I'm only this achy. But no, you're not. It's not true. And it is the way to opening to the rest. She calls that bodhicitta heart the soft spot, the tender spot. I include the tight spot, that vulnerable place. She and others describe bodhicitta contact as like a wound. I like that. I think it's true. I think it's like an old achy wound, an old painful place, a place that scares us. A place, so there's a little cue, a place that scares us. What are we going to do? We're going to go to the places that scare us because that's the path to the end of suffering. We're going to go right in there. It's not out there. There's no tiger out there that you have to fear. You can't prepare for that one, right? We all have big houses with big yards and big fences, right? As if we're going to all be safe. And the truth is there's not a fence big enough, is there? So, all right. Without realizing it, we continually shield ourselves from this pain because it scares us. We don't want that, right? And then it goes on to say, these walls, these barriers, these fences, these, what are we doing? We put everything in the way of it. Fortify what? Nothing. They just feed anger, jealousy, disconnect, numbness, arrogance. It says, with practice on the next page, we can learn to find the opening. We can learn to seize that vulnerable felt sense. That's love, gratitude, loneliness, embarrassment, inadequacy, to awaken bodhicitta. We can't get it by just thinking about being nice. It's not the path. It doesn't work. There's no thought about it. Can I feel into my own, the vulnerability of this human life, the rawness of a broken heart? Yes. Are we courageous enough? We are. Do we have to recognize the tendencies to shield up, guard up, close down? Yes. This genuine heart of sadness can teach us great compassion. It can humble us when we're arrogant and soften us when we are unkind. Yes, it can and does. As we recognize our own humanness, so we will hold others in theirs. The blessings are that when accepted fully, are that humanness, that vulnerability, that tenderness, we can hold all in it. The Buddha said we are never separated from enlightenment. That's that unconditional bodhicitta. You are never not that. It's not possible. We can lose contact, however, because what do we get focused on? That shitty job, that bad relationship, that, right? As if those are our problems. And then we go, where I'm lost in it. Yes, you are lost in the conditions. You have mistaken them for your life. You have mistaken the conditions for your life. It's not true. How you're relating to it all, that's your life. This openness and warmth of bodhicitta is in fact our true nature. Yep, we know it. And to make contact with that nobility, we fall in love. We fall in love with our life. We fall in love with ourselves in all our vulnerability, in all of our humanness, and then we fall in love with all beings. The unconditional bodhicitta, there she goes on to talk about it, refreshingly free of ideas, free of opinion, free of form, I said. It doesn't just take the form of the body, the form of Diana, the identity, the form of the at all. It's formless, it's signless, it's ageless. It doesn't have a color, a shape, a size. It is not limited in any way. Relative bodhicitta, she goes on to say, we're working with that every moment. That's our own heart mind. Yep, exactly. And so we train wholeheartedly. Now she uses the word warriors. Of course, in this age and time, that's a little tricky because it's got the word war in it. You know, she means warriors of peace. She means warriors of non-aggression. But the word warrior, I understand. I think it's a little challenging in our time. Maybe the word is I'll keep thinking about it. More like I just had it. I'm going to think about it. You think about it too. Is there a better word than warrior? What is it? The wholehearted word is kind of on it, right? Our willingness to cut through our personal reactivity and self-deception. Boy, do I have to wake up to that every day. Personal reactivity and self-deception. Why? Can't I make a case for why I get to be shitty? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And that we have to keep willingly dropping the guard down, feeling into the pain of it for myself, going, wait a minute, I'm just scared too. I don't want you to be unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want, right? And I'm scared because now you're telling me it's all going to go to hell in a handbasket. There are formal and informal methods. We're going to do the practice every day. We have to call up Bodhicitta. If you're not going to do the rest of the practices every day, and by the way, you're screwing yourself if you don't. If you're not going to do them, you at least have to call up with consciousness the heart of Bodhicitta, and you have to rest in it for several moments. You cannot get out of this because I don't know how to help you stay in contact with it if you don't. If you don't place consciousness there, it cannot take the infinite boundless form. Many of us prefer practices that will not cause discomfort. Oh boy, don't we? Yet at the same time, to be healed, we have to confront the woundedness, don't we? And that's the heart of Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta training offers no promise of happy endings. Boy, do I love that phrase. By the way, I don't believe that. I don't actually, I know it to be otherwise, but you can't seek it just for relief. You can't strive for it just to get out of the truth of suffering. You have to first be willing to go in. And that's what they mean, which is if you're just going around trying to get out of this thing, that's not going to be the path. And in fact, you'll just become a spiritual bypasser. You'll use the practice to get away from your life, not to get into it. And won't that be a shame? Because there's only one way. We have to fully get in. All right, I'm going to look quickly here. We keep hoping the babysitter, the godmother, the fairy godmother. Don't you love that, Disney? Who were those three fairies? Oh my God, Merryweather, and oh, that was so fabulous. Don't we all want them? All loving, all compassionate, all kind. Guess who that is? Who is that? That's you. You are the fairy godmother. There is no better. And you get to offer that to yourself. And then you'll naturally, effortlessly begin to open and offer it to others. We're all going to have to experience this heartbreak, this pain, and the reality of continual, unending uncertainty. That is the enlightened heart of Bodhicitta. Of course, we know that hatred never ceases by hatred saying, I love it. So I brought it there. And here, just as alchemy changes any metal into gold, Bodhicitta will, if we let it, transform all thoughts, all words, all deeds into the vehicle for awakening our complete open hearts of compassion. We're not going to go on to 2. I think that's fine. Okay, so here we are on the path. We do have the invoking Bodhicitta every day. Who's not going to do that? Raise your hand. Who's not going to do it? Otherwise, I'm assuming you are. Every day, you've got to invite it. You've got to remember. You've got to call it up. That is the requirement for our consciousness in this life. We cannot just assume it's there. I'm just going to hope it's there. No, you're going to have to like pour it in recollection, remembering, and in embodying, and then rest in that for a few moments. The second thing I want you to do is then offer it to yourself. How are you going to do that? Offer it to yourself. That means you have to stay in contact with some moment of tenderness, don't you? Some moment of ache. There's no way out. If you're going to offer that good medicine, you have to touch into the wound. However you do that. It might just be that recollection like I did. The recollection of this is just painful like this. I didn't want it to go that way. That's all fine, right? So that's the second thing we have to do. And then the third thing, I wrote it down. Let me think of it for a second. Read chapter 2. That will be helpful. And then I want you to stay in contact throughout the day. I want you to see, make contact. Where is the tenderness in me now? And the way you're going to find your way to that tenderness is by noticing the boulder you put in its way. That's how you're going to find it. You're not going to make contact just with tenderness. You're going to make contact with, I feel nothing. I'm eating that 3rd pint of ice cream. I'm now just binge watching something instead of being really in my life. I'm right. Traveler. Oh, I like that, Victor. Yeah, traveler, fellow travelers on the path. Thank you for that. So watch for all the things we put in its place. We have to make contact with those habits. Then we invite bodhicitta and let that be settled. Let that be removed. Let that ache be true. Dedicated to least harm, a warrior for the good. I like that, guys. Thank you. All right, we've got our 3 pieces: inviting, invoking bodhicitta, resting in it and offering it to yourself, and then noticing throughout the day. That's the 3rd part. The habit that we have for deadening, covering up, distracting, getting busy, and then coming home to oneself again, to that heart of bodhicitta. Let it be alive. Give it some room. Let it breathe. Please, please, for us all. We will all benefit from that. All right, guys, chapter 2 next week. This is the heart of bodhicitta. It is you. Don't forget. Yeah. All right. And so may we invoke that bodhicitta heart this very breath. That means touching into the tenderness, not trying to get rid of it. And may we offer its benefits to ourselves and all beings on this path to true happiness and freedom. And I bow to you, these bodhisattvas on the path. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you. We can do this together. Don't leave home without it. And I'll work on that too. I'll look forward to seeing you guys later. Courtney's in town. I'm so excited. I'm going to get to see her later today. Yippee. I'm really looking forward to that. If you have questions, I'm going to try to write a little of this, but I'm going to send the recording to all of you, which is why I'm going to quickly see all who's here so that I make sure that I get to all of us. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful, wholehearted day. I'll look forward to being with all of you on Saturday. We will be doing Saturday in the Garden. We do have that option this Saturday, so we'll be here. I hope that you can all join me. I look forward to that. And I'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday with chapter 2. Champion, another fabulous word, Margie. Thank you. That's I like that one a lot. Traveler, warrior for the good, champion. Hero.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'll see you later. Be well, everyone. Bye, all.